What's happening, guys? This is Mike at Mike's Total Dragon Channel, and I wanted to recommend Everything Dead and Dying. This is a 5-issue miniseries from Image Comics. All 5 issues are out now, and it is one of my favorite things that I read in the year 2025. Highly recommend it. The writer's name is Tate Bromble. Artwork is by Jacob Phillips, who I want to say is related to frequent Ed Brubaker contributor Sean Phillips. Tate Bromble, the name sounds very familiar to me, but I cannot place where else I have seen it. But I absolutely fell in love with this book while I was reading it. The quick gist is there has been a zombie outbreak, zombie epidemic, whatever you want to call it. And you've got, let me see if I can find a good picture here. I don't want to turn too far into it because I don't want to give away but so much stuff. So you've got the main character here. He is the last survivor of this zombie epidemic. And basically what he has done is he does not want to give up his prior life. He does not want to move on from everything that has happened, all the losses that he has experienced. And so what he does is essentially, if you remember the mall scene from Dawn of the Dead, when all the zombies are in the mall and they're still just walking around, basically going through the motions, of their prior lives. That is essentially what he is doing inside of this town, his community. He has figured out that if he basically, he's like in a shepherd role with these zombies. He keeps them fed brains and guts and bone or whatever, and they essentially just walk around, go through the daily motions that they had before everything went to shit. So he is able to maintain a certain sense of normalcy. He's able to maintain the way things used to be before the outbreak with him, his husband, and their daughter, albeit greatly, obviously everything's not 100% the same, but because he does not want to move on and let the past go and accept everything that has happened to him, he is basically playing this role of keeping things, the status quo, the best he can in a zombie apocalypse. So he has this little farmer routine down pat where he gets up and he goes through the little town, like this town here. You see him on his tractor. He's doing his morning errands. And so basically what he does is he does these errands and he keeps the town going, and he doesn't have to let go, and he doesn't have to move on, and he doesn't have to have that sense of closure that was forced upon him. So as long as he is able to do the things that he needs to do, and as long as he is able to go throughout the motions, he basically keeps things the status quo. And The reason that this book resonates very strongly for me is the main character, he doesn't want to let go, and he feels like he can keep everything going as long as I do this. As long as I do this, as long as I can make these concessions and I can make these adjustments, then everything's fine. There's nothing wrong with what's going on. Everything's okay as long as I make these changes and these adaptations. And he doesn't really want to face the hard truth, the realities of what is going on. And it is not until, obviously you can tell by the covers here, it is not until, of course, some people show up and they threaten his way of life that he has to accept all these things, and he has to basically, through struggle and adversity and violence, through these people who show up and threaten his way of life, he has to accept the fact that it's truly over, and it's time for him to move on, so to speak. So Everything Dead and Dying, 5-issue miniseries from Image. Highly, highly recommend. It was one of my favorite things I read last year. I believe the 5th issue came out sometime last month. That's why I am doing this video again. I did this video initially on the 1st issue, and I really enjoyed the 1st issue, and I was very nervous and apprehensive that they were not going to stick the landing. And Tate Bromble and Jacob Phillips did an incredible job with this here. But this is definitely a very powerful, strong, emotional story. Although it does have zombies in it, it's not like the running and gunning of the zombies. It is, very, I can't think of my man's name that made Night of the Living Dead. It is very Romero, with the zombies, not like the 28 Days or the Dawn or the remake Dawn of the Dead style, but just a very powerful, emotional book about a man who is trying his best to hang on to what he had despite everything looking into his face. So check it out. I'm sure they'll have a trade paperback coming down at some point. If not, the back issues you can find, they should be cover price. There's really no speculation or anything about this book, but just a really, really, really solid read that I highly recommend. I give it my highest recommendation possible. So till next time, you guys take care of yourself. I will talk to you later, and bye-bye.